Your namesake, I love you. You know how much I love you. You do the best rendition of We Let It. You guys saw me rocking out. People were like, what is he doing up there? Going, we let Agape. We let the joy wash over us. Thank you, Angel. Good morning, Soul Center. Good morning. So good to be here on one of my favorite weeks of the year. Thanksgiving is just such a beautiful time, and the meaning of it anyway. Hopefully you also were enjoying that time. It's such a wonderful time to be in the feeling of gratitude, and we know that in our community it's a daily practice to be in gratitude. And as we finish out the month, gratitude as a way of life, we're going to go into the topic in a second, but I just want to see, anybody here for the first time today? Any newcomers? Oh. Welcome to Soul Center. We are part of the Agape Association of Communities connected to the New Thought teachings of ancient wisdom. And we want to welcome you here, and we do that. I'm just going to invite everybody to just join with one of our Agape kind of traditional welcomes. So just know we're all going to do something that might be like, oh, but just relax. What you're supposed to do is just sit and relax. And what we're going to do is just offer a blessing for you by extending our heart to our hands. So you just relax and receive, and we take a moment and we turn within and we open to the world of blessings through prayer, through light, and we say, welcome to Soul Center.
Welcome to Soul Center.
We know who you truly are.
We know who you truly
You
are.
are a divine emanation of truth, love, and divine intelligence.
You are a divine emanation of truth, love, and divine intelligence.
Come here to bathe in the blessings and share them and spread them.
Come here to bathe in the blessings and share them and spread them.
As your unique magnificence.
Your unique magnificence.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Somebody slipped away there, but that's all right. We got it. As I was saying, we're part of the Agape Association of Communities, which means, as beloved Patricia was saying earlier, or Jessica was saying earlier, we're both, that we celebrate the golden thread of truth teachings, and remembering that truth teachings go above dogma. They go above religious practices that sometimes in some communities can become very rote and not have the umph behind it, which is coincidentally the theme of our month, gratitude as a way of life, because we know that gratitude is an energy that when you steep it with love, when you steep anything with love, with divine intelligence, you're giving it the power it needs to accelerate that which you are choosing to experience in your life. Now, who wouldn't want love, number one? But we're talking about not romantic love. We're talking about divine, heavenly love. And so as the reading was saying earlier, authentic gratitude is that where love is coded and loaded in it, and you can actually feel the awe and the magnificence of the divine within it. So it's not the polite part where we're like, oh, thank you so much, thank you for bringing this or doing that, which is, really sweet, and I don't want anybody to give up their being polite. Polite is still a really great thing to do, but there's something beyond politeness, and that's what the topic of today is, the other side of appreciation. And in gratitude, when we go deep into gratitude, it's a meditation all unto itself to feel the authentic vibration of gratitude. And gratitude and appreciation are kind of synonymous with each other. What I love about appreciation is that kind of the double meaning there, where when you appreciate something, you're sending out an energy. We all know that the attitude of gratitude brings more of that through the law of attraction. But it also increases in value. That's when something appreciates, it increases in value. So part of our spiritual practice is to allow ourselves not just to do our gratitude journal, which is really wonderful, where we take out and we can really commemorate those things that we're grateful for, but really allow it to penetrate to our bones in a sincere space where we move into the prayer field, and as I was getting ready for this morning's talk, I was like, oh, what are kind of the components of how we move in and to and through this experience of gratitude and infusing that love. And so one is first the awareness. Becoming aware, becoming self-aware is probably, if we looked in Spiritual Growth 101, you find that self-awareness is one of the key ingredients. Becoming aware, it's kind of like in any, in the 12-step program, first you have to even acknowledge that there is a situation that needs some tending to for healing before you can actually do anything about it. So becoming aware of our attitudes, maybe even becoming aware that maybe I'm not as grateful as I ought to be. What's it like to be grateful? Really feel grateful. Wake up in the morning with an enthusiasm and just feel really grateful about taking on the day. When you are living from the place of infinite, magnificent, divine, holy awareness, being in the world but not of it, and I always like to give that little reminder. The reminder is, each and every one of us here is a divine emanation of the Most High. We are all born in the image and likeness of God. These and greater things every one of us shall do. And so there's what we call our North Star. There's that part of our consciousness in the journey where we're journeying to the most immaculate vision and version of our lives ever. And that is where we have zero trauma. There are no issues. You are absolutely, everything with finances is good. Everything with health is good. Everything in all relationships are good. Everything in your creative expression is good. Everything in your spiritual practice is good. Your spiritual practice actually kind of almost doesn't even exist because it's just who you are as a way of life, just as gratitude is a way of life. So there's this space where we are, North Star, that's the soul energy, that divine spark that has never been hurt or harmed in any way, that doesn't know anything about the trauma body, that doesn't know anything about lack or limitation or turmoil, and knows nothing about that. We carry it with us everywhere we go. The perfect blueprint, we carry it with us everywhere. So that is up here. And we are journeying towards, as we sometimes say, we always say sometimes in spiritual communities, you're perfect, whole, and complete. And it's like, well, yes, you are, but are you experiencing your perfect wholeness and completeness in the physical world as your beingness? And so our practice, until we no longer need it, kind of like training wheels on a bicycle when you're first learning, you put on the training wheels so you don't fall over, but at some point you're going to take them off and you're going to ride free once you find that center of gravity and your balance. And you can allow yourself to just really go with whatever it is in life, whether it's the balance beam or the rings or the guitar, whatever it is, we're going to master that until we can let go and let God flow through us. But that's a journey that we're on until it's complete. So we carry that and it's complete in our experience. And we know that God is no respecter of persons. So it doesn't matter who you are, what your race is, what your religion is, how old you are, what your situations and circumstances is. Every single person on the planet has equal access to the magnificent. However, we must choose that. So I was looking, and awareness was the first thing. And then the second thing was devotion. Devotion is one of those things that, it sounds a little like kind of gushy maybe. But it's like one of those wonderful things, because devotion means you're in and you're allowing yourself to feel it. When a lot of times you'll hear about devotees of a particular practice. And devotees means that I'm in. I'm going to allow the grace and the divine light of God to show up through me, to me, for me, as whatever it is in your life that you would like it to. And so that's what our spiritual practice is. When our meditation and our prayer and our sacred service and our education and taking good care of our body temples, that's all part of the whole enchilada, so to speak, of our beingness. And then there's the divine selection. And then after I wrote it down, I was like, oh, that's like ADD. And I'm like, it's a whole different kind of ADD. Instead of attention deficit disorder, it's an awareness, devotion of divine selection. That type of ADD. That ADD, divine ADD, is what we are looking for. When we will move ourselves into a divine awareness, which takes us to divine selection. And as it says, in A Course in Miracles, do not make the mistake of thinking you understand what you see. For when you allow the Holy Spirit to interpret what you see, then you will understand. Meaning that we are always looking at life through the filters, oftentimes the filters of our trauma body, and we make discernments and we make choices based off of that, and sometimes we choose a wrong. Sometimes we make choices that bring lack and limitation to us. Sometimes we use the law of attraction against ourselves. And so in this whole process of becoming aware, it helps to, A, keep your eye on the prize, that divine, magnificent knowingness of who you are and where you're going. And when in Scripture, and we know that there is no Satan as a devil, but when in Scripture it says, and Jesus says, "Get ye behind me, Satan," he's referring to the negative thoughts of worry, doubt, and fear, because we know there is no evil, there is no Satan, there is only the experience in the transitory, illusionary world of fear that would bring us lack and limitation. And lack and limitation about anything. Anything. It could be mediocrity in terms of my finances or my health or my career or whatever it is. And I don't want to minimize any of that, because what we build our foundation on here at Soul Center and in the New Thought communities and at Agape is you become aware, you become devotional, and you become in a divine selection as part of the process of creating a foundation. Everybody knows I recently had a client who I was working with. He was $60,000 in debt, had more money going out than coming in, had exhausted his savings, and waited till then to say, like, hey, maybe I should seek some help, which, a lot of us do. We wait until the 11th.9 hour of when it's like, okay, and that's what Reverend Michael would refer to as being pushed by the pain. As like, okay, I'm just going to keep doing what I always do and expect different results. Like Einstein said, that's the definition of insanity. And it's like, no. And that's where it's like, okay, so if I've got more going out than coming in, and I'm not changing anything, well, we all know by the basic laws of physics, energy and motion stays in motion until another one of equal or greater comes along to change that. So at the 11.9th hour, it was like, oh, now I'm ready to get on my knees and pray and turn within. And it's like, okay, and that's when he entered into my life. And so it's like, all right, so we got this. Now we also know that immediate, immaculate demonstrations that we might call miraculous are available to us at every moment of every day to the degree that you are ready to receive it. Which is why in our practice of affirmative prayer, which is not rote, it is a formula to cultivate authenticity. Authenticity, when you feel the juice in your bones, you're gonna move mountains. And so that's what we're looking for. We're looking for moving mountains. If you are not ready to receive your good, then some other things are going to have to be cleared in order for you to receive that good. And so sometimes that seems like, oh my God, I was praying for something and the exact opposite came along. And it's like, no, that just means that we need to clear something. And so we were working on something and we went into prayer and he could feel the mojo. And the very next day he's like, well, I don't think the prayer worked. What do you mean? He said, well, I still have all these bills and I haven't got a whole big avalanche of cash coming in. Okay, all right. Now, he was wanting that immediate, immaculate demonstration of that all being taken care of. Now, there have been that. I have seen. I have witnessed. That means that if somebody can surrender everything associated with the lack and limitation to the divine and be divinely receptive, which means you're open to receiving your good. Being open to receiving your good, I will tell you, as somebody who's been doing this for almost 18 years on a very deliberate and devotional basis and has transformed my life completely, physically, emotionally, mentally, situationally, and financially. Everything. So as I speak to you, I speak not from a place of, isn't this nice in theory, and there's these great spiritual people that they suggest you do this, and maybe it'll work. No, it works. It works if you do it. So there's spiritual beingness. Beingness is where we turn within. And then there's spiritual doingness, and the doingness, and they're same sides, opposite sides of the same coin, means you actually have to do the work. You actually apply it. I can tell you how to ride the bike. I can tell you whether to even take the training wheels off. But if you don't get on the bike, you're not going to have the experience of riding the bike. And it's like, oh, but I might fall off. And it's like, okay, but we gotcha. That's what our spiritual practice is for. We gotcha. We gotcha. We're going to hold you. We're going to be there. And there's a big difference between applying spiritual principles and practices with the intention of success than applying them with the intention of failure. But it takes awareness to know if there is a subconscious idea buried in the cellular memory of the mental body that might be predisposed to failure. So then that might be one of the prayers within the prayers. Ooh, if I'm really self-aware, it's like, ooh, I'm praying this prayer, but I can feel something inside of me that doesn't really believe it's true, which means I'm not divinely receptive. I want to be a clear, clean instrument to be divinely receptive. And so, as a recovering person who used to not be so divinely receptive, you know, like one of those people who's like, somebody's coming over and giving you your good, they got this beautiful present for you, and you're like, oh, thank you so much, okay, let me just put it over here, and it's like, you know, one of those, that's kind of the way I used to be. And still getting better at receiving, because to the degree that you can allow yourself to be divinely receptive is to the degree that you will experience the answer to your prayer, to the degree that you allow yourself to even venture in to the mind space beyond the lack and limitation vibration of the surface mind influenced by the erroneous ideas and beliefs of your trauma body, which is where the awareness comes in. Is this being influenced by my trauma body, or am I allowing my holy self to make the choice through me, to me, and as me? Because sometimes that divine selection, the ADD of divine selection, that sometimes it's like, oh, people go, oh, well, how do I know? How do I know if I'm making the right choice? We all want to make the right choice, and I think I've shared this before, but I had, you know, my spiritual road-colored glasses on for many years, where I thought once I walked into, you know, agape, I was like, okay, it's all going to just be gravy from here. And I was like, oh, no, wait. Now it's time to do the work. We got to do the work. But letting the work be fun. Let it be fun. Fun and joy. Love is fun. Love is joy. Or I should put it the other way around. Joy has love in it. Gratitude has love in it. Wisdom has love in it. All of it has love in it. And so when we commune like we did in meditation this morning, like we did during the prayer, you can take a temperature. You can kind of see, well, where am I? Where am I in this as a self-awareness? I'm hearing some truth. Am I divinely receptive? I don't know. Some of me, there's a little part of me, if you hear the not so still small voice, but sometimes the loud obnoxious voice, the loud obnoxious voice within that's like, oh, that's not going to work. And if you follow the little thread of that, you will find where there might have been a disappointment, where there might have been a hurt that is unresolved, that needs to be brought into the light of truth consciousness. That it is the mandate. It is the mandate, you will transcend into your divine nature. No matter what, it's gonna happen. And it is the mandate that you are to receive all of that good, and it is the mandate that you are to be liberated and free, and that you are entitled to the magnificence of heaven on earth, through and as your life. That is the mandate. You are not going to be able to avoid it. It is going to happen by hook or by crook, by pain or by joy, it's gonna happen. You might have to wait till the 11.9 hour before you surrender to certain things. And so the difference would be the potential to have cleared and healed the thing before it got to the 11.9 hour, which brought him to his knees, was available every day, all the way back, for years and years and years. And in the pulled by the vision of your consciousness, if you're listening, then, oh, I could have cleaned that up years ago. But in God, all things are new. So you get to go to the beginning, which is eternality, because time and space is just a figment of our imagination. And so we can use some of the things in our toolbox, such as authentic gratitude. And so sometimes you've heard it maybe in some place, one place or another, and this one's one of the more frustrating ones. I'm going to put the little disclaimer on there right to begin with. But sometimes there's the fake it till you make it approach, where it's like, okay, I know spiritual truth. I know that the kingdom of heaven is mine. I know that radiant wellness is mine. I know that infinite prosperity is mine, but I'm not experiencing it. It's like, okay, so then we have to go into the cultivation stage, or we go into the awareness stage, and we start to say, okay, what am I going to do about it? Now, a lot of people like to come in, and it's like, can you imagine I'm going to come in, and I expect to go into a building, and I want to go enter the building, unless it's built into a mountainside, but if it's at street level, it's floor 1, and I'm like, I want to go up to I just want to enter at floor 4. And it's like, okay, that's what a lot of us do. We want to enter the building at floor 4, when the entrance is on the foundation, on the ground floor. So we want to start where we're at, and then we want to apply the principles. And the fake it or make it part is, I know these things exist, and I'm going to move towards it. No, nothing is going to stop me. I am not going to go like he said, where he's like, well, what happened? The prayer didn't get answered. I just prayed it yesterday, and I still have this debt. And I was like, okay, well, that just means we're going to do, as Ernest Holmes would say, we're going to treat until complete. We're going to keep going. You just launched that energy. And because of the very fact that we're in the time-space continuum, things take time. When you bring the eternal into time and space, if you're ready for it, it is done. If you're not ready for it, it will seem like it takes time to matriculate into your experience and into your manifestation. That's why. Now, there are things that we can do to expedite these things. And it's one of those paradoxes, because we're doing it to expedite it for liberation and authentic living, not to just hurry through. Like, I'm in such a rush, I gotta get enlightened. So-and-so just got enlightened, I need to get enlightened. Okay, we're leaving that at the door. And we're just going to allow ourselves to be liberated. We are to be liberated. And when we do say that we are going to, a field will open, because the universe is set, that the minute you turn away from lack and limitation and you move over to infinite possibility, there's a euphoric elixir that starts to come out and support you. And it's going to guide you, and it's through your awareness to make divine selection that we're going to do that. So one of the things we're going to do is we're going to go and I have just a small little exercise to help gin things up. Because, one of my friends was always like, he would go to his regular church when he was a kid, and it was just so empty, he said. It was just like, the priest would just be kind of sitting there and just rotely, Heavenly Father, blah, blah, blah. And it was like there was no juice. And so we got to be juice cultivators. We have to cultivate the juice in our own beingness. That's part of self-awareness. It's like, if I don't have the enthusiasm, then I'll cultivate the enthusiasm. So I just want you to join me in the field of gratitude, because we know that gratitude is one of the highest vibrational frequencies in the natural world, not in the divine world, because you don't even need gratitude when you are self-realized. You just are. You are. But right now, we can use gratitude as a barometer to gauge, well, where am I in the process of whatever it is? So if somebody was going through something financially, there was so many things to be grateful for, but part of his issue was that he was focused on where money wasn't coming from and how it wasn't working and how I have more debt than I have income. And I was like, okay, we're going to move into fake it till you make it because we got some work to do. And so what we do is we start to focus on, I want you to just take and join me, focus on something that you are grateful for or were grateful for. Let's go back as whenever. And from the day you were born to yesterday, something you were grateful for growing up. What's some magnificent divine experience that you had growing up that you were grateful for? Whether that was, it could have just been the stroke of a parent caressing your head. It could be the receipt of some magnificent gift, just a feeling of total love that came from a teacher or a counselor or something along those lines. But just let yourself move into, we're going to start to gin it up a little bit. Something you were grateful for growing up. And then we're going to move into something you're grateful for right now. What are you grateful for right now? And allow yourself to let your heart tell you what you're grateful for. Let your heart tell you what you were grateful for. Let your heart tell you what you are grateful for. And then this one's going to take us outside of time and space, which is what prayer does. We want to go outside of time and space into infinite potential and possibility. So I would like to know what you are grateful for in advance. And no limits, whether it's full flexibility, whether it's that first class travel, whether it's debt-free, whatever it is, all relationships holy and sacred. Self-love that is humble and authentic and off the charts, whatever it is. We're going to move into the future, so to speak. And it's right here in the energy of what I have been grateful for, what I am grateful for, and what I am willing to be grateful for, even though it hasn't come into time and space just yet. Maybe some of it's come into time and space. But let yourself go to the highest, greatest, and grandest vision and version of that. And no lack, no excuses. Nothing that says, oh yeah, but they can't participate in that, or so-and-so won't agree. None of that exists in the eternal. Divine cooperation is at hand. And as you hold those three ideas in your mind, remembering that in the eternal, what you hold that you are already grateful for, that hasn't come into the manifest world yet, it is already done in a paradigm, in a reality, in the mind of God. It already exists, and we are connecting with that, and we're pulling that which could seem like the future into the present. And so as we do that, I invite you to join me as we become soft. We become soft, we open our hearts, our bodies, our minds, our souls to benevolent vulnerability. We are soft, we are open to the holy light of God. We allow ourselves to see with God's eyes and hear with God's ears, to hear the voice of truth, the voice of the soul. The voice of the soul, we allow our entire sensorium to open, to feel the impulse, remembering that the universe, the omniamorous, omnipotent, omnipresent light that is no respecter of persons and says yes, absolutely yes to your magnificence every moment of every day, holds nothing back. And we move into divine right receivership. We allow ourselves to be open into a fertile field of receiving our good. We name it, we claim it, we remember that we are born in the image and likeness of God, and this is not ego, boastful pride. This is a spiritual proclamation, a declaration that claims our birthright, being born in the image and likeness of God. We open to that, and we allow ourselves to bathe in the divine nectar, to breathe the holy breath, and we allow ourselves to be in divine right receivership. And we know that this energy knows nothing of time or space. It knows nothing of the past, the present, or the future. It only knows the eternal. It knows the eternal, so we allow it to be retroactive and proactive, to go behind us and to go before us and make the crooked path straight. We allow anything necessary. We allow avalanches of authentic, pure, holy, loving gratitude that appreciates knowing we deserve the very best. And we allow anywhere that requires forgiveness to absolve, dissolve, redeem, cleanse, and purify. We allow all of that. We allow ourselves to be the good stewards of divine receptivity,